Hello, man.
Hey, right on time there. How's it going there, Gary?
Very well, thank you.
Am I getting you from Los Angeles?
Yeah, I am. We got back on what day is it? What day is it today? Is it Thursday today?
It is Thursday the 3rd.
We got back on Tuesday night. So yeah, one
Welcome
day
back.
to just thank you. It's been away a month this time. It's quite a long trip.
Exactly. I don't have that experience. I've just been stuck in New York for about a year and 2 months now. But speaking of that, long-time fan, I do want to ask you about the new album. I'm such a big fan that I skipped my 10-year high school reunion to go see you at the PlayStation Theater or whatever it's called in New York. So,
all right. Oh, thank you.
You were more important than high school. So, Gary, you got a new album done called Intruder. When did you actually finish it?
June, July-ish. Oh, I actually can't remember for sure. Around about June, July, I think it was. And then we had to do. Then I did all the artwork for it. That takes a while. And then we started to do videos for it, which takes a while. But yeah, it was finished. Quite some time before it actually came out.
The Saints and Liars video is visually stunning. It's one of those things where I can't tell if that was all called in favors or that was $100,000 music video. I'm assuming it's closer to the $100,000 thing. But how long did it take to make that video?
It wasn't too bad actually. It was a 3-day shoot for me, and then Chris Corner that directed it did some more afterwards. The third day was actually a disaster. We didn't get much done in the third day. We had a freak storm came through. One of the vehicles got stuck, so we couldn't get to the volcano crater that we were hoping to. We nearly got flooded out. And then there was a drama at home. One of Chris's dogs had attacked another one and killed it, which is really an upset everything really badly. And then we had a phone call, and a bizarre coincidence, one of our dogs had attacked another one of our dogs and nearly killed it. That was in the vet, all within a few hours of each other. So the day 3 of the shoot was traumatic to say the least, and we didn't get everything done. So Chris went back and finished it off without me because I had to go after that. But it was amazing though. It was an amazing place to film the Amboy crater, and perfectly suited, I think, especially when put into black and white. It perfectly suited the vibe of the song and on what the song's about. So it was great. But to be honest, the credit for the video for that one and Intruder before it is very much Chris Corner from IMX. I send in the music and I send in the lyrics and a little summary of what it's about and what I'm trying to achieve with it. But that's pretty much it. Then I just sit back and say, there you go, which I wouldn't normally do. Normally I'm much more hands-on, and I'm very, very particular about what happens. But he is so clever and so creative. Visually he's a genius, I think. And so I'm aware that it's in far safer hands than my own in that situation. So best to just let him go with it. And we talk about it and we discuss all the various shots that are going to happen, and I contribute where I feel it can make a difference. But essentially, it's Chris's thing, really.
You are so good at this that you actually answered like my next 3 questions, which one of them was going to be, when you knew that you were going to make music videos, did you go, I want it in black and white, or is it the director going black and white? Because it looks cool. It seems natural. A lot of people, when they do black and white stuff, you go, that's just them trying to be artistic. Mm-hmm. And for you, thematically, black and white has always looked cool and been right.
It works, I think, and that particular video as well. But bear in mind, the actual album sleeve itself, although it's not black and white, it's very close to it. There's some skin tone, but that's been brought down. And there are the 3 stripes down the face, which gives it the shock of color, if you like, which separates everything. But essentially, the whole thing is very gray, black. So it wasn't a huge leap to go from that to a pure black and white video. The one before it, the video for Intruder, much the same. It has a very, very, very similar feel to the album cover. So not black and white, but very, very close to it, with some flashes of color here and there. I just think that the whole vibe of the album being, the subject matter, the earth speaking, the earth speaking about how, hurt it is and angry and disappointed and all that, that translates much better with a minimal amount of color, I think, especially in that environment. The environment that it's in, there's nothing there. It's black rock, dark, and sand. So it translates to black and white really, really well, because it's not as if you're taking a whole load of color anywhere except for a blue sky.
Right. That makes sense to me. Well, was the new album primarily a home-based recording situation?
Yeah, pretty much, but they all are really. I have my home studio that I've done. Well, this will be the third album in this one since I've been in America. But before that, back in England, I have my home studio there. So I would always work from home for, God knows, last 30 years, I think. I can't remember. Aid Fenton, who produces the stuff, also has a home studio in Bath. So we just do file exchange. I write the song, I produce it up to a fairly sort of high level, but not to be the finished article. That's really to give Aid the direction that he needs to do his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he needs to know the feel of it, the vibe of it, the dynamics of it, the highs and the lows, and all the melodies and the tunes have obviously all got to be there. And then his job is to kind of unravel that mess of stuff that I kind of throw at it and make it into something that has clarity, which is important, and just polish it up really. I do really just throw everything at it, go, oh, there you go. There's half a dozen different loops all thumping away, all kind of half fighting with each other, but it gives you a vibe, that's the thing, but it's a bit messy and there's fucking melodies everywhere and I'm going, whoa, there's a tune here and there's a tune there and that's all great. And he just goes, well, we don't really need that and we don't need that and that could be better, and he just makes it all professional. He sort of takes the chaos out of what I give him, really.
The reason I was curious about the home recording part is I find that a lot of artists who are early onto the home recording eventually hit this point where they go, you know what, I want to go back to a traditional studio for an album or two. Like they have that process where they go back to that and then they realize, I'd rather be back at the home. They kind of go back and forth. I think Dave Grohl, who definitely you inspired, he's one of those people where he got that Sound City board, and then the next album I think was every song was done in a different studio.
I've never done that, actually. I've never been. I've gone the other way. If anything, my studios have become less impressive to look at, but far more capable in terms of their what you can do with them. My studio now, I did a big interview recently with a British newspaper, and they obviously wanted to see the studio, and I said, all right, but stand by to be unimpressed, because it's not impressive, and it is so minimal, man. It's one big screen. I got a 42-inch touch screen called a Raven MCZ. That sits on a big black desk with nothing on it. There is a computer, but it's hidden around the back. You can't even see it. There's a small little box here that has my volume control on it. And then the keyboard. It's not even a synthesizer. It's just a keyboard, a controller keyboard, which talks to the computer. That's everything, except for the speakers. I've got 2 speakers. And that's everything. You know what I mean? There's no racks of gear. There's no patch bays and chords everywhere. There's no racks of synthesizers lined up all around the studio and guitars hung up everywhere. There's none of that. None of it. It is the most unimpressive looking thing you would ever wish to see. But it is totally state of the art. And it does more than any other studio I've ever had before. It's phenomenally capable, but it's just very unassuming. Until you turn the screen on, it's just a black screen. There's nothing. It looks like a black mirror. And then you turn it on. At least that bit comes to life, and you got something to look at. And I can sit in there and turn out albums, for the rest of my life if I wanted to. It's a very, very capable room.
Wow. Well, that actually leads to something I'm super curious about with you. You're, from my estimation, the first major artist to do a lot of things. Start his own record company after he's been playing arenas. I think you were one of the first to do that. Have his own airline. The list goes on and on and on, that you were the first guy to do that. And the music itself has always been innovative because you were using samplers and computers to make music before the majority of rock artists were. So I'm curious, how much of this is you just reading all the time and speaking to people and going, what do you like, and pairing the best of that into your life versus you just organically finding out about stuff and happening to be the first or one of the first people to do these things?
I don't know, really. I honestly couldn't answer that with any sort of great knowledge. A lot of the things I just I'm an enthusiast of tomorrow, I guess. I'm much more interested in about.
Let me pause you there. Enthusiast of tomorrow. Write that one down. That was such a brilliant phrase right there. Have you said that a lot of times before, and I'm just catching that? Okay.
No, I've never done that one before. I have to remember that one.
Yeah.
My interest in life is what's coming next. Where I'm going. It's almost a problem in that I'm so uncaring about what I've done before, past glories, whatever they might be. I believe that you sink or swim on your next album. And so every new album is a challenge to try to be better than you've been before, to not repeat yourself. But the thing that excites me is wondering what's coming and what you can do to shape what's coming. So I'm always thinking, always ahead. My wife says that I'm a glass half empty kind of person, because when something good happens, I'm not able to sit in that moment and enjoy it. Like now, the album's number 2 in Britain, everything's fucking brilliant. And I'm thinking, what next? Now what? And she's saying, well, can't you just enjoy it? Like for the 1 week, it's number 2. Can't you just enjoy it? I said, well, yeah, I am, but I'm not really. Yeah, I know what she means. But it's not that my glass is half empty. It really isn't. I mean, the half that's still in it, that's doing its best to enjoy the moment. But the other half, it's already left. It's not that it's missing, it's fucking gone already. It's tomorrow, it's the month, it's a year ahead. It's always, there's a part of me that's always looking to the future with a mixture of fascination and dread. I don't always think the future is amazing. I don't think what's coming is fantastic, but it's coming. So you need to be aware as much as possible. You need to try to be sort of one step ahead of anyone else's understanding of what's coming, so you can be right there to meet it head on. And sometimes that's technology, with music and so on. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the state of the world itself, which is obviously what Intruder's looking at. Now that I'm a parent, with 3 teenagers, there's a whole new world of things to try to spot that are coming towards you. It's my nature. It's just my nature to be looking forward rather than looking backwards. The idea of having a long career that was based on 1 or 2 songs, is unpleasant to me. I don't want that. I don't sit and trot out cars forever. Because that's the one everybody remembers. I've always tried to just keep moving forward and not reminding people about cars or talking about cars all the time. Or, depending on what country you're in, it's a different fucking song. And in Britain, it's Our Friends Electric. Oh, you know what I mean? So you don't want that. You want to be moving forward all the time. And often it's very difficult to do that. If it's not so bad now, actually. Now I've had 2 number 2 albums in a row, and the one before that was top 20 in Britain. I mean, so it seems now that I've kind of re-established myself, and it's this is the new you, I suppose, so to speak. But up until then, I would go on a radio station and they'd play Our Friends Electric when I got there, and they'd play Cars when I left, and nothing else in between. Not the record I've gone there to talk about.
Right.
So people get the impression that you're just there to talk about the same old things all the time. And of course you're not. That's not what you went there for at all. So there are times that when you're sort of made to look as if you're living on past glories, when it's the very, very last thing you want to be doing. And that public perception is very difficult to change once it's been established. And so I've found it very difficult, actually, over the years to remove myself from an era and, to be relevant in the different era, in a new era, which is, what I've always wanted to be, really. And I don't mean this one. I mean, everyone to bleed and come, it's an ongoing thing. But, can't grumble. Yeah. I don't know what the thing about cars is. There's me talking about it now. Didn't even ask me about it. That's terrible. I should never do that. But the thing about cars was, as an example of this problem, for a long time I wanted nothing to do with it. I saw it as a cloud hanging over me, and not a good one, a big dark cloud hanging over me that stopped me from moving forward. And I wouldn't even play it live. I went for several years, I wouldn't even play it live. I was trying to make a statement, which is a little bit childish, really, because, obviously people love it.
Hey, you're not the first person to do that, to go, I'm not going to play the hit.
Yeah.
But give it up for a couple of years and then realize after a while, like, this is not me. This is like a characterization of me. It's kind of fun to make fun of it by playing it. I think that happens. So no shame to you for that.
Well, I was doing a guest slot with 9 Inch Nails in London at the O2 Arena in 2009, and I'm standing at the side of the stage, and I'm nervous, and Trent starts to introduce me, and he talked about cars, and he talked about the album it came from, Pleasure Principle, and he was talking about it as this amazing record that shaped, his musical vision and was, hugely important in the sound that he went for with 9 Inch Nails and all this amazing stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, how amazing is that? Yeah, I mean, there's me sort of trying to dismiss this song from my life for all these years. And there's someone that I consider to be a genius. He's standing there telling that 20-odd thousand people how amazing it is and how important it is. And I thought, why don't I feel like that about it? I wrote it. Why am I not as sort of enthused about the song as Trent is? And then I walked out to do Metal, actually, another song from it, but he wanted to do Cars as well, which I thought was a mistake. But went out there and the crowd just went mental. It was just the most amazing experience. Did the song, the whole place fucking erupted. And I thought, who's the idiot here? Really? Me. You've written something that is probably one of the most famous songs ever, massively popular for decades and decades and decades. And I'm the one that's sort of dismissing it. God. And I thought, how childish have I been for all that? So I learned to respect it and appreciate it and be grateful for it. Really thanks to Trent on what Trent said. So having said all that, I still don't, when I see it on the set list, I go, oh, all right, here we go. It's still not the high point of the night for me, but it's there, it's back in the set and it should be, it's something to be proud of. It's part of my history. But the things I look forward to, I look down and I see, I will, in Saints and Liars or one of the Intruder songs or something from Savage. And I go, oh, fuck yeah, I love this. And you look forward to doing it. And that's the feeling you want. When you want to look down that set list and be excited about everything that's on it. And it mustn't be a stroll down memory lane that you're just doing because they want you to.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's my life. This is my life.
Yeah.
And I'm going that way. You can come with me if you want, and it will involve all of this new stuff forever. Or you can stay at home and listen to Cars and R3 Electric if that's your thing. And I'm not knocking it. I don't mean that in a dismissive way at all.
Right.
But if you want to come on this ride with me, then it's going to keep moving forward. It's never going to wallow in nostalgia.
In my case, I, like everybody, first heard Cars, went, this is amazing, I love this. And then when I heard Damon Albarn's cover with Matt Sharp from Weezer of We Have a Technical, I went, wow, this guy has great deep cuts. And then I dug and then realized, wait, that Foo Fighters song is a cover of Gary Numan. Wait, this is a cover. And then you realize, wow, this guy's got quite a publishing catalog. So as much as, you may not love playing all the old stuff as much, you go, this has sustained the guy for a bit. So bridging that to now, I think you're just about the only artist I can think of that got heavier as time went on, and it seemed like a legitimate thing. Like you weren't trying to be a dark guy. It's just, this is legitimate, organic, darker stuff. Was there ever a moment when you got heavier in the 2000s where you kind of went, maybe I shouldn't do this?
Oh, no, never. It started in 94. Actually, I did an album in 94 called Sacrifice. And that was the beginning. That was where the whole heavier thing started for me. And that came about because in the years leading up to that, the career had been struggling. I was nowhere, man. 92, I did an album called Machine and Soul, which was shit. And I say that myself. But I learned a lesson from that. I learned that I'm really rubbish at trying to write hit songs for a start. Rubbish, because I was trying to get on the radio. I absolutely sold my soul in that period, in the years leading up to that. The career started great, did really well, got number ones and all that. And then it sort of started to go down a bit, and then it really started to go down. And I panicked, I think, started to listen to advice, which you really shouldn't do. You really shouldn't. And I think I lost my way. I just got lost, really, and I didn't know what I wanted to sing about or the way I wanted to look, videos, and everything really. I just lost myself, and I ended up just being a badly put together mix of other people's opinions and advice, and I was that for a while. And I'm deeply ashamed of that period I call the middle years. I never play any songs from it. I don't give a fuck. Lego. I play cars, but fucked if I'm playing anything from that middle bit. I don't like any of it. And I realized, I knew that I was in trouble, and I knew that I wasn't writing very well. And I was very aware that I was failing really badly. Did the Machine and Soul album. The same year I did that, I met Gemma, my wife, who I'm with now still. And she was massively helpful. She over some time, and with great patience, she made me understand something fundamental, and that is that my lack of confidence about my own abilities, the singing and the playing and so on, had encouraged me to try to make the albums more proficient, more musical, by bringing other people in, better guitar players, better keyboard players, better singers for sure. And I'd taken me systematically, piece by piece, out of the records. So I was still there and I'm still singing, but I was mixed lower, loads of backing vocals, and most of the guitar wasn't me anymore. It was, I'd taken the Gary Numan out of a Gary Numan album, effectively, or certainly a large chunk of it. And I thought that was a good thing. I thought that was what was necessary to make the albums better. And she said, but what you've taken out the very thing that people liked. She said to me, you might not like your voice. You said, you might not, it's never going to be the best voice in the business. He said, but it has something. It has a sound that people wanted, that people liked, and you've taken that away. She said, you might not be the best guitar player. You're clearly not, but you play it a certain way. It gives your songs a certain sound and style that you've taken away. She said, you've taken away all the things that people liked about you in the first place. Now, it takes a certain amount of ego to accept that point of view. I would have to think, oh yeah, fair enough. I'm the great thing that I took out of it. And I couldn't see that, because I didn't see what I did as being valuable or worthwhile at all. I thought I was good at tunes, but none of my other things I saw at all. But eventually I understood what she was saying, and it sort of started to make sense. And so what with that, and what with my realization about other things, I just went back, and the fact that I didn't have a record contract, it didn't look as if I'd ever get another one. I had no money. I was fucking massively in debt. It was all shit, really shit.
That's something that I don't think most people realize or piece together, that it was a dire part of your career.
Awful,
not just creatively.
Yeah. And so music went back to being a hobby. I made Sacrifice with no record deal, with no chance of getting one. So I thought, I'm just going to do it for the love of it. And because of that, I rediscovered the love of it. I gave up on radio play. I gave up on radio play at all, any sort of contact with them or help from them. No record label, so no A&R men badgering me and telling me to do this, that, and the other. Yeah. All of that was gone. And when all of that gone, all of that pressure, if you like, gone. It was as if the imagination came flooding back in. And so Sacrifice was a totally different record. And it was much heavier. It was as if I just went back to doing what I wanted again without any thought about career or saving it or any of that, and money, all of that. It was all done. I was finished. I thought my career was finished. I went back to making music for the love of it, the way I'd done when I was a teenager. And it was instantly heavier and darker and had something to say. And you had a lyrical content that had some passion in it, things that I was really bothered about. Anti-religious, unfortunately. I fucking hated religion. And I really went for it, you know. And I started to write stories again. I hadn't written stories for years. I always used to write stories. Stories are back, and so loads of the stories ended up being on the album. Really weird little ideas about, you know, the space between life and death, that God can't find you. Oh, so I loved it. You know, I was really happy. Creativity was pouring out. And Jem had introduced me to some music that I'd not heard for a year before, and that was more interesting. And that was inspiring. And that was it. So that's where it started from. It all goes back to that album and that year or two with her, and helping to reshape me into rediscovering my love of music again. And Sacrifice came out heavy as fuck, and it's been that way ever since. And I've just tried to get better at it, to be honest. But as a path, I think from Sacrifice to Intruder, I've pretty much been on the same path.
Well, being super mindful of your time, one quick question, and then you're a free man. And that one question may be the easiest one, and that's, do you have a TV recommendation that you could pass along to somebody who needs a new show to start?
A TV show to watch?
Sure.
Oh, well, I don't know about any current ones. I'm a bit out of touch, really. I've been away for a month. But there was a show called Black Sails. Don't know if you saw that.
I haven't seen that, but okay.
I think what channel was that? It might have been that Stars channel, but it's about pirates. I love it, man. It's like a Johnny Depp film, but with true violence and intrigue. It's absolutely brilliant. It takes you 2 or 3 episodes to get into it, but go for it. They stopped it now. I think it ran for 4 seasons and it stopped. But that was the best thing I ever saw on television.
The bottom line is this, Gary. Decades later, you're still doing great art. Congratulations on Intruder. Looking forward to seeing you live in New York when the time is right. But thank you so much for your time, man.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Paltrocast.